your business with
In actual fact, I put some bird seed out for them. It's only £1.50 a bag. There, look, wild bird, makes them wild. I bought this hour meter for my engine because mine's kaput. These are quartz and they are $7.99 off eBay. It basically like goes to the alternator and that goes to ground. So when the engine's running, that's going to tack up hours, because my hours are stopped, and I'll show you hopefully how to do this, and I'll install it and cut it out and everything. I'm just doing a quick experiment with this. So I've just attached two wires, one live feed going to the alternator and earth just temporarily going to that earth there, look. So you've got a live feed here going to the alternator, that's 13.5 volts coming out of there, and that's just a ground. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run the engine for an hour. That's at 1/10 now, it's at 2, so we're going to check to see if it works. I'm going to fire it up and then I'm going to wait for this to do its stuff. I think it's moving. We'll come back in half an hour and have a look. Right, it's now been 10 minutes. Let's have a little look, see what it's doing. That's working. Sweet. The wires from the alternator run up to here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap into these wires as the earth, probably the earth there, look. And that's probably a feed coming from the alternator, but I've got to find the wiring diagram to find out what wire's coming from the alternator up to this clock. The problem with these is the digital clock goes, and to replace all this is going to be 250 quid. So for $7.99 I could just tap into this wiring, cut the wiring or solder a wire into it from the alternator and earth it in there. I'm going to mount the clock down here somewhere, because I can't mount it here because there's a big block of wood behind here, look. So I'm going to have to mount it down here somewhere. This whole area needs stripping and redoing, but I'm not going to do it now. Let's get on with the clock. Alrighty. Now on these beta alternators, you've got a black and a blue wire, which is the third one down. You can't quite see it there. It's behind there, look. The third wire down, black and blue. That feeds. Let me show you. I've got to try and stand up. It's awkward space to work in. That feeds this wire here. I've tested that. That's 7.5 volts. That's what it should be. I've also tested continuity to that, which is perfect. So I'm running the red wire live to my tacho here to the live feed. I'm running the earth from my horn. So I'm going to tap into that wire there, solder the wire on, solder the wire to there. I'm going to run this hour meter from those two wires. If you've got a Beta Marine alternator and engine, this is the wiring configuration. Blue and black, comes from the alternator, sends a signal up to this meter here. This is faulty inside somewhere. So I'm going to put an external hour meter on it. Earth, 7.5 volt feed. Alrighty. This clock comes with a back clip. I can use this as a template. So what I'm going to do is make sure there's no wiring down there, and there isn't. I'm going to fit the clock right in the centre here. That's the only place I can fit it really. I want it right in the centre there so I can see it that way. I'll just do a mark round that and then cut that hole out. So I'm going to template. I'm going to cut a hole in the middle. I'm going to jigsaw a hole out there and then fit the clock and do the wiring. Believe this, I felt behind here, right, there was nothing. All this is steel behind there. I'm not going to get through it, so I'll have to cut that now, drill this and then cut that. Oh my god, it's going to be a nightmare now, isn't it? It's now decided to start working after I've cut that hole. Jigsaw will be covered. It will be covered by the. Just cover it there, look. Why is it working now? Why? As you can see there, it's in. It's working, but I had to cut square hole in the end. Oh, absolute nightmare getting that in. It's in there now, it's working. That worked for a little bit and stopped. What a relief. To cut through that much steel there, look, with the jigsaw. As you can see, it's not pretty. It wouldn't go around corners. The blade kept bending and snapping. Went through about 4 or 5 blades. Oh, that turned out to be a nightmare in the end, but it's in working, so that's the main thing. It's now been running for 1 hour, look. 1 hour 6, is it?